There's a moment when you realize all the things they said were lies. It's time to open up your eyes, 'cause we were made to fly. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are, 'cause we got the fire. Whoa, we got the fire. Whoa. Show the world the impossible is possible. Show the world the impossible is possible. There's a moment when you understand. You don't gotta follow all the plans. It's time to open up your
Thank you, Rebecca. I was still on mute. I don't know why. Thank you. So let me start over again. Thank you for joining me early this morning. I appreciate it. Um, again, I was on mute, so my apologies. Um, I'm having to push the time up to 9 a.m. and I appreciate you coming in early to join me as I have a 10 a.m. call with the Georgia Department of Education Special Education. I serve as a state advisory panel member. And so we will be discussing special education around the state of Georgia and also and some great things that is happening on a state level to support us locally here in Cobb County and all our other school districts. And so I'm excited about that. So I had to push us up to 9 a.m. So thank you for joining me. I thank you for all of you are here that have already started hitting my chat. Thank you. I appreciate you supporting me and making sure that number one, you can hear me and that you're here to hear what's going on in and around our school district here within the Cobb County School District. And so this will be our monthly debrief as promised, Coffee Talk with Trey. And so thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so let's jump right on in. Yesterday was a very packed, impactful meeting. We had a lot of things going on within our meeting. So I want to jump into some meeting notes first. Yesterday, the superintendent confirmed that for the next school year, the 2021-2022 school year, we will be back 5 days a week. So it won't be like this year where we have the digital day on Wednesday. So we will be back 5 days a week, starting back for the 2021-2022 school year. And so that is one of the first changes that he did mention. There will be two options for learning. There will be the face-to-face option for those students that desire to be back in the building. And then there'll also be the online learning option this year as well. The difference for our educators is they will not be expected to teach online learning and our face-to-face students at the very same time. Okay, so we will not have that dynamic going on next year. So I know a lot of our educators can appreciate that, and so that's a very good thing that we're excited about as well. Now, this is what's very important. Parents, we're going to have to choose which option you want very soon. In fact, middle school and high school, by Monday, March 22nd, they're going to release all the information online by 5 p.m. And it's going to be at the www.cobblearningeverywhere.com website. We should be familiar with that website by now. That's where all the updates and everything come from on a weekly basis. And so on that website, they're going to list all the information in regards to how the online learning and the face-to-face will be instructed next year. Hopefully the schedules will be released at that time. The catalog of classes will be released at that time. So one thing that we can expect, again, 5 days a week, teachers won't teach both at the same time. So those are some of the first things that we need to be looking at. But you're going to have to make a decision, much like we've had to make a decision all year, whether you want to be virtual or face-to-face. But the commitment is a lot longer because of the way that that everything is being structured. So you're going to have to make a half a year commitment or a full year commitment on face-to-face or digital. So I encourage us to have those conversations this weekend because the portal does open. And for middle school and high school, the decision portal is going to open and it closes just before spring break. So I asked that question in the board meeting. I said, hey, can we extend it through spring break, giving us a little more time? And it was explained by Ms. Sherry Hill, and I appreciated her answer. Due to all of the pieces that need to be put in place as far as scheduling and teachers and all of the administrative stuff on the back end that have to be worked out, we really have to jump on it right now. So and so your decisions will need to be made. And unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be an opportunity for us to change our decisions at a later date. So just keep in mind, you're going to have to anticipate what the climate is going to be in regards to COVID and COVID-19 and things of that nature, and make the best decision for your family. Just kind of projecting and have some foresight that as well. Let's see. Should they consider sharing about masks prior to that decision? Many who are in favor of masks may choose differently, and there are those who do not want kids wearing masks at school that also might consider virtual options. Thank you, Rebecca. That question did come up. I believe Sharice Davis asked the superintendent in regards to masks, and he said that at this time that determination had not been made because they are following the guidance of the CDC, and of course that information is not readily available at the moment. And I'm not sure if we can actually even predict what it's going to be because the data changes frequently, as the superintendent stated, even daily. So we want to make sure that we are just mindful of that again while we're making that decision, because again, we are in unprecedented times, and we're going to have to pivot quickly in a lot of different places. But some of those policy items is going to be very, very critical for decision making. So I would say make a decision based on the information that you have readily available now. Okay. So online learning will also be supported through the new Cobb Online Learning Academy. I believe Sharice Davis coined it yesterday as COLA for online learners in grades 6 through 12. And of course, your local based, school-based online learning for students in grades pre-K through 5 will also be available as well. So, and Cobb Horizon Academy, which is one of our alternative online learning academies, will also be made available as well for our part-time online students as well. So thank you. All right. All right, I see. Rebecca, I think you had something else for me here. As the data changes that impacts parents' choices, I agree in unprecedented times, and without that info, it's hard to force parents, students to stick with a decision. I completely agree. It is going to be difficult. And I agree, Valerie, and I did ask of that yesterday that the window should be extended, but unfortunately, based on the constraints of administering this option, unfortunately, it couldn't be done. But thank you. I appreciate those comments because again, those were the text messages that I was getting yesterday. I want to make sure I asked them in the board meeting to ensure that we were getting at least getting our information answered at the time we were receiving the information. So, all right. So please look out for this on Monday. They will have a lot of information in regards to this. This is going to be a big deal for next year. The district's focus on literacy. We had our chief academic officer, Jennifer Lawson, gave us an update on literacy, and it was a very comprehensive update in regards to literacy. And some of the things that we looked at was our Iowa and some of our other testing, the RI, which is our reading inventory that's taken 3 times a year. We looked at our PSAT scores and things of that nature, Georgia milestones, and overall as a county, Cobb is performing very well. And so one of the statements that I made yesterday was, when you're looking at data, always is the law of the averages. So if we're here, that means there was something down here that kept us from being way up here. And so I typically like to look at the bottom and as Mr. Banks said, the bottom 26 or 27%, because that's where I feel we should have that focus, particularly because I have seen some of that data concentrated in post 3. And so that was my reason for asking, what is the supports and what are the interventions that we have and will have moving forward to ensure that our students are getting what they need to be successful and rise to the occasion of what we expect here in Cobb County. And so we do have a lot of things coming through the pipeline. And I was excited about that because one of my items that I presented and wanted on the agenda was what will be our recovery plan for all of the learning loss from last year and for this year. And so I'm excited that it's on the agenda, and on April, I do believe, hopefully in April, they will actually have that comprehensive plan to present to the community in regards to that. So I really do appreciate that. All right. And of course, our initiatives within the school district, we start early from, pre-K options, kindergarten options. There's the early literacy camps that we've had in the past. We have some K-12 instruction within the classroom. The RI System 44, Read 180. Those of you in elementary school and high school, middle school, you may be familiar with some of those reading programs that we have already initiated. And then our superintendent discussed CTLS Parent, which is also going to build in resources for us as parents, not only to see what our student scores are, but also it will advise us on what digital options and packages that the school district already has that will help us in working with our students to make sure that they are reading on grade level and helping us to close those academic gaps as a partner. So I was excited to read that or to hear that during our presentation on yesterday. So it was a very big meeting, very big meeting. I know there's some employee things that I received from some of our educators. One of them was the $1,000 bonus from the state, from Kemp. And I believe per our meeting yesterday, the superintendent is waiting for the state approval, waiting for it to be approved from the state. It has not been as of yet. And as soon as it's approved, it will hit your bank accounts within that pay period. So I think, well, we're in March now. I believe the end of the month is when the pay will hit. If we get some approval before then, I'm assuming it will hit. If not, it will be April. I don't know. But whenever that approval comes from the state, that is when within that pay period is when you should expect that. In regards to some of the budget things that the superintendent just kind of briefly touched on, because budget is coming up pretty soon, he said there looks to be some raises, some raises for our educators and staff in that. Don't know what that looks like just yet, but they are working on diligently trying to make sure that there's some type of compensation enhancement moving forward. So we're excited to hear that. All right. Let's talk about public comment quickly. We had 7 people in the morning session, our work session. And the first one was Amy Henry, Dr. Holsey. He's our proud principal at Floyd Middle School. Thank you, sir. Good morning to you too. Amy Henry, she came and she spoke, and she spoke in regards to the mask mandate, and asking that it is made optional in the future. And so that was our first speaker. Miss Tammy Andrews, she's a good friend of mine. She is on the board, the executive board for the East Cobb County Council PTA, and they presented a resolution. Those of you know I've served the South Cobb County PTA Council for many years. I'm still on the council, and she's our counterpart in East Cobb. And they presented a resolution to prioritize educators and all staff who work for the school systems to receive the COVID-19 vaccine immediately. And so this particular resolution was passed by the ECCC general membership on February the 4th. So, that was during that time frame where we were advocating as board members, as superintendents, to have our educators reprioritizing the 1A designation so that they can have access to the vaccine sooner. And so they did their part as our PTA. Our PTAs are our advocacy arm. And they also support our schools in so many different ways. And so I appreciate her. And she was bringing that resolution to the Board of Education to also let us know that our partner with PTA is also in the fight with making sure that we make the best decisions for our parents, students, and our teachers in not just in Cobb County, but around the state of Georgia. And so we appreciate that. Tammy, thank you. Miss Heather Toller, she's in Post 5. She's with the group called Watching the Funds Cobb. And she discussed some of those things, those fiscal things that were important to that particular group. And she discussed that they have now over 1,100 followers on Facebook, and it's called Watching the Funds Cobb. And they discussed some of their immediate items of importance and advocacy items. And so we appreciate them coming and speaking. We had Miss Jenny Daly Peterson, and she's also with Watching the Funds Cobb, and she lives in Post 6. And so we thank you for coming and speaking and sharing your thoughts to the board. John Hanson, our good friend from Kennesaw, he also wants to, he was coming to speak in regards to mask and fund expenditures. And so he was thankful that we removed the UV lighting from the school buildings, but he also wanted to make sure that he discussed his point of view in regards to the mask and whether students should have be mandated to wear them or not. And so that was for Mr. John Hanson. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Ashley Palmer, she came, she's part of the Principal Advisory Council, and she's also the co-president of the PTA at Nickajack Elementary. She lives here in Mableton, and she was asking in regards to, first she gave us a good highlight. The good thing is that their PTA raised over $100,000 in fundraising for a new playground. So we are excited to see the PTA up and going and moving at Nickajack, but she is concerned about the overcrowding at Nickajack and what the plans are. Even if we decide to redistrict as a school district and how that will affect Nickajack. They are concerned with that and want to start engaging in those particular conversations as well. But I thought that was important as well. So let's see. They also talked about a need for a new roof. So we were excited about that. Let's see. Miss Eloise Sandiford. She's with our Cobb Black Caucus or Democratic Caucus, and she lives in Post 1. And she's also part of Watching the Funds Cobb. And so she wanted to discuss her thoughts in regards to some things that she felt was important in regards to our fiscal responsibility, and also her thoughts in regards to silencing of board members. So thank you, Ms. Sandifer. We appreciate it. She's also a former educator. In our evening session, Stephen Martini, he's a former Wheeler graduate, 1981. You can go back and hear him in regards to his stance in regards to the Wheeler name changing and his history of General Wheeler. Joseph Wheeler, rather. Go back and listen to his presentation. This next person, very, very close to my heart. I was excited to see her walk through the door and give public comment. Ms. Breanne Perkins, and those of you that know Ms. Perkins, she has grown into a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful young lady. She attends Bennett College, and she's a graduate of Pebblebrook High School. She's a junior this year at Bennett, and she came to speak to us in regards to the in regards to the community. And it was exciting to see her. I saw that she had some letters on her chest, so looks like she made. I couldn't see it because I was writing at the same time, but it looks like Sigma Gamma Rho. So we'll talk about that later, because I have a lot of friends that I went to college with and actually went to school with in middle school and high school here in South Cobb. We went to college together, and a lot of my friends pledged Sigma Gamma Rho. So we'll talk about that, Miss Brianne. We'll talk about that, Miss Perkins, offline. So, and those of you that know, that is the daughter of our good friend Miss Monica Delancey. And so it was exciting to hear from you yesterday. So thank you for coming. We also had some more residents here from South Cobb speaking from our South Cobb area in persons of Miss Rhonda Shepard. Those of you that know that, she is a long-time resident and advocate for our students here. She has some students at Pebblebrook, Clay Harmony Leland. She also has a student at the Wheeler Magnet program. And so she came to advocate in regards to Parents for Racial Equity in Cobb County Schools. And this is a new Facebook group where they're going to fight systemic racism in Cobb County Schools. So they came and presented to us who they are, what their action items were, and things of that nature. And they also gave us some suggestions on what they think would help benefit our school district in regards to hiring a top-level diversity and inclusion director with the authority to establish a permanent committee to study, monitor, and address issues of race and diversity within our school system. So we were excited to have her come and share with us as well. And followed by Rhonda was her daughter, Ms. Zoe Shepard, who is the magnet student at Wheeler. And she did a great job talking about the Wheeler name change and why it was important, and just continuing to urge the conversation to continue in that regards. And so we thank you, Ms. Rhonda, and also Ms. Zoe for coming and speaking to us. We appreciate that. Zoe was followed by Giselle Jackson, who also wanted to speak to us in regards to the Wheeler name change. And we thank you, Giselle. She did an excellent job. Our students are intelligent. They're very smart, and they can really explain to you what the concerns are in a way in which it was so clear and concise. There was no way that it could be misunderstood. And so I am proud of the education that our students are getting, because you can really hear it when they're speaking to us at the board. Everything is organized and concise. And so I really appreciate that. We also were joined by Jeff from Post 4. He wanted to talk to us about keeping the focus on academics and good governance. And so thank you for sharing. We appreciate that, Jeff. Oscar Para, he wanted to talk to us about critical race theory curriculum. And I was thrown off by the topic item, but he wanted to make sure that we kept whatever we thought would be important, that we focus on the good governing and things of that nature, and what's important in making sure that our students continue to receive the best education here in Cobb. And as you know, that is the priority of our school board and all school board members, to ensure that our children are receiving the best education in Cobb County. So thank you for sharing, Mr. Parra. We appreciate that. Ms. Jada Foote, she also came and spoke to us about the Wheeler name change. And what's interesting about this particular situation, Ms. Jada is one of our students at South Cobb High School. And so she came to show her support for that particular initiative at Wheeler. And so we appreciate, it looks like our student groups amongst our schools in our county are coming together to rally in regards to a particular cause. And so we appreciate that. And she came and she spoke, and it was wonderful. We were joined again by another South Cobb High School student, again, Miss Sydney Tessman, who also attends South Cobb High School. She's in the magnet program there. And she also came to speak in regards to the Wheeler name change. And so seeing the school camaraderie was exciting. So, yep. So that was exciting. Tova Ringland, she came and she spoke in regards to special needs. Now, these next three people, I'm not going to attempt to mess up their names, but the next three speakers came to speak to us in regards to Sky Schools program. And it is a program in regards to social emotional health and things of that nature. And it's a curriculum that you can build into our schools to help with emotional health of our students and our teachers. And so they came and spoke. I'm actually going to join that Zoom call that they suggested we join to listen in and see how this will help us. And they gave us some statistics on how, if our focus is on the social emotional health of our children, how it can improve a lot of different things academically. And so I will be joining in to listen in and see what that's about. And then we had, she's online. Yes, Tova, yes, it was really good. So thank you, Tova. And special needs is a big deal. That's why we're here early today, because I have to get off and be on another call for special needs this afternoon. So thank you for sharing as well. But I will be joining the Sky Schools information. Jake McGee, post 6, he's a magnet student at Wheeler High School. He came and he spoke again in regards to the Wheeler name change, and it was good to see you again, Jake. I appreciate it. And our last speaker was Stacy Efrat, and she's a post 5 resident, and she's with the group Watching the Funds Cobb, and she gave us a list of suggestions and what we could spend our money on. And so we really appreciate all of you coming and sharing with us. I want to do this first. Mr. Dr. Hosey, all of those seeking employment with the Cobb County School District, Cobb's virtual hiring fair is March 23rd through the 25th, and you can register online. Yes. And if you haven't seen it already, Dr. Hosey went and gave us a video presentation on social media about Floyd Middle School. If you're looking to be employed in our Cobb County School District, Dr. Hosey is interested in speaking with you to join the Floyd Middle School family. So thank you, Dr. Hosey, for keeping that information before us. Cobb Virtual Hiring Fair is March 23rd to the 25th. So that's coming up, and you can register online. Thank you, Dr. Hosey. I appreciate you sharing that with us today. All right, we got to move quickly. So everyone knows that we have something coming up really, really soon. Some information in regards to important stuff here, particularly for South Cobb, because the South Cobb area post 3, because all of our schools receive Title I programming and other title programming. So we will have a stakeholder meeting for federal programs. This will be with Tiffany, Director Tiffany Honore of our titles program, and it will be held Tuesday, March 30th. So this is coming up at 6:30. There is a Zoom link online. I also placed it here where you can Zoom participate in the actual stakeholder meeting via Zoom. So please take advantage of that. This information is here. This is important because this is how we get information on the different title programs that we do have. And then our schools have title meetings as well, where we discuss the Title I budget for those of us that are in schools that receive Title I programming. And we discuss the budget and some of the support systems that we will have as a result of Title I. So please make sure that you are tuned into that particular piece, because that's very, very, very important for us. Also, let's just take into account that next week, or not next week, but the following week, spring break is coming up, April 5th through the 9th. Okay, we will be out of school that week. Let's be safe. Let's make sure we're responsible during that week because we are still in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. I also want to just say, shout out that April 5th, that Monday, is my birthday. So happy birthday to me in advance. So those are some of the things that's coming up immediately. Now, we also talk about new kindergarten and first grade registration. I have the flyer here in Spanish, but I also have it here in English. There it is. It's online, you guys. If you have upcoming children that will need to register for kindergarten or this is their first time in school and they're going to be a new grader, the student registration process has begun. It is online. Make sure that you go to our district website. All of the documentation that you will need to register your children is in this flyer. Please, please, please take advantage of that as soon as possible so that we can go ahead and start preparing for next year to make sure that we are properly staffed for the next school year. The last thing that I want to do in regards to scheduling is our graduation schedule. Please keep in mind that it is out. Pebblebrook High School, Friday, the May 28th at 7 o'clock p.m. South Cobb High School a little later, Wednesday, June 2nd at 9 a.m. And all of our graduations will be held at Cantrell Stadium on the campus of McEachin High School. And all of our ceremonies will be streamed live via our school district website. So I just want to make sure that we had that information readily available. Thank you. All right. Quickly, we do have a teacher visual being scheduled and being planned. I will make sure that I put a flyer out in regards to that. That visual will be to honor the teachers and to show some respect for the teachers that have passed as a result of COVID-19. So we will have that teacher visual, and it will be this month, and it will be held in the Powder Springs area. So once that flyer is out with the dates confirmed and all that, I want to make sure that we are there to support our teachers in that particular initiative. I believe our state representative, Erica Thomas, will also be there. There's a resolution that she will be presenting to Miss Priscilla Key, the wife of Patrick Key, at that time in regards to the situation with Patrick Key and COVID-19. So we appreciate Erica Thomas for that effort and initiative as well. And we will be presenting it at that teacher visual. Okay, Miss Vanderhost, Miss Geneva, Sting Inc. On Sunday, March the 21st, this is coming up this Sunday, there will be a women's history event. This flyer is on social media. It is on my social media pages as well. And we will have a presentation on anti-bullying. So make sure that you're tuning in for that. Special guest, Sting Inc., of course, alumni and Sting Inc. female student will also be presented. It's a very good way to kick off the, to have a great event during the Women's History Month. And so please take advantage of this. Ms. Geneva Vanderhost and Sting Inc. has been supporting our students for many, many years. And so we appreciate the initiatives and all the different things that she brings to the table. All right, this week is School Board Appreciation Week. And I want to tell you, it has been a very eventful week for me. But here's a proclamation from Governor Kemp recognizing School Board Appreciation Week this week, along with our Georgia School Board Association. And so this week, it concludes actually on Sunday, but today will be the last day for that. And so I am very appreciative. I received a lot of spirit wear, shirts and T-shirts and hats and all those different things from schools around the county. Yesterday, I was met in the boardroom with all of these different cards and I love yous and thank you for supporting us and thank you. You are the best cards from all of our students. And listen, y'all can't do this to me because I have a weakness and kids are my kryptonite. And when I see stuff like this, it put me in a place last night. My eyeballs were sweating real bad and I had to find something else to do with my time because this right here, it was very good. I appreciate it. I spent hours because our board meeting got out late, but I spent hours reading all of the things that you guys had sent me and gave me and trying on T-shirts and different things. And so I appreciate that. Dr. Howard had given me a T-shirt on yesterday. I don't know if you all can see it, but it says Peggy, David, Sharice, Jahan, Trey. And so that was exciting. We appreciate that. It was exciting. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful. Ray, can I put in the chat the information for the Zoom on the Title I programming? I do not have a way to copy and paste it and put it in there at the moment, but I can go and put it on my page. I'll put the Title I meeting on my page along with the Zoom information so that everyone can log in. So I will make sure that I do that. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it. And I will do that for us. Valerie Testman, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So just know that that Title I meeting will be done in Spanish and Portuguese as well. So translators will be available. So I want to make sure that is clear as well, because this is we're a very inclusive school district, and I want to make sure that our entire community is at the table. So and listening to hear what's going on. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Ray, for bringing that back up. All right, where are we at? Let me get my agenda in front of me. Yes, my students. This is why we're here. So my student highlight for the month, this particular young man, Bernard Williams, and those of you that received my monthly newsletter will have seen the write up on Bernard. Bernard is a joy to be around. He is a senior at South Cobb High School. Last year over the summer, when we were feeding our community and making sure that our students had lunch, Bernard was there every Wednesday. He was in front of Mableton Elementary, and he was there helping us to make sure that students had something to eat, that they had lunch to eat every week, and I appreciate him for that. Whenever I call, he has been there, and Bernard is like I said, he's a joy to be around. He lights up a room wherever he's at, and those that know him know that. He's a wrestler at South Cobb High School, and he's in the 220 weight class. Good Lord. And he also is on the football team at South Cobb High School. And as you can see, he lettered in football. He also has several different awards that you see that he received as well this year. And so he is also our March student highlight for the month. We also have a couple of other student highlights for the month, of course. I talked about Miss Sydney Tessman and Miss Zoe Shepard. Both of them are Mableton and Austell residents here in Post 3. And we talked about Miss Sydney Tessman. She's at South Cobb High School. She spoke at our board meeting in February and also yesterday in March. And also Ms. Zoe Shepard spoke at both board meetings, advocating for the Wheeler name change. And so we just want to keep putting you guys forward and supporting you and everything that you are doing. You guys are growing into beautiful young women. And so we are excited about you. We're excited about your parents and the work that they're doing with each and every one of you. And so I want to just make sure I give you guys a shout out as well. Here we go. Bus driver appreciation 2.0. We have some friends in the Cobb County area that has put together a bus driver appreciation, and it was so that they could have the proper PPE for students and for themselves to clean their buses, masks for the kids, masks for themselves. And so this was put together by Miss Mindy out in East Cobb, and Mr. Jimmy, who is a longtime bus driver as well. He's now retired and lives in the North Cobb area. And so this event that we had most recently was at our senior center, the Freeman Pool Center, and over 350 bags were made with all kind of good stuff inside of it and passed out to our bus drivers. It was exciting to be there. Myself, Sharice Davis were there to help support and make sure that our bus drivers had what they need. And so I was excited and thankful for Ms. Mindy for organizing it and putting it together. And so as you can see, those bags were filled to the rim. And so we're excited and thankful for that. It was an amazing event. I'm appreciative of the work that our community does to support our schools and our school district to ensure that Cobb continues to be the best place to teach, lead, and learn. So I'm thankful for that and excited to see that as well and be a part of it. Let's see. Coming down to congratulations to the Lindley 6th Grade Academy. They received their Ramp Award. And for those of you that know, the Ramp Award is not given to everyone. There's a list of things that has to be done. And so the Lindley 6th Grade Academy counseling team, Mrs. Walker and Mrs. Hubert, have met the criteria. They actually met the criteria with a perfect score. That's not mentioned here in the highlight from Dr. McGee, but it was mentioned by our superintendent yesterday in our superintendent brief. And so I just want to make sure that I mentioned that as being an ASCA model program school of distinction by the American School Counselors Association. So great things are happening at Lindley 6th Grade Academy. Thank you, Dr. McGee, for leading the charge over there. That was good to see. Also, speaking of counselors, Cobb County School District Social Worker of the Week, around the same vein. They do different work, but our social worker, Miss Mandy Goodwin, She's also the 2020-2021 School Social Worker of the Year for Cobb County School District. She serves proudly. She serves South Cobb High School, Mableton Elementary, and Russell Elementary. And so we want to give her a shout out, not just being an excellent social worker and serving our schools, but she's also our school social worker, our district social worker for the school year. And so we appreciate you. Wanted to make sure we honor you as well. We are almost at the end, you guys. And I thank you for joining me and staying with me this whole time. We have a drop to mic segment. I thought, what better way to drop the mic than to bring our good friend John. He's a counselor at Garrett Middle School. Those of you know that the work that's being done at Garrett Middle School has been transformative over the last couple of years, and it has a lot to do with John. John is he's a graduate, or he's an alumni of Pebblebrook High School. Went off to school, and guess what? He's back in the community, teaching and loving on our children and making sure that they have the necessary skills to be successful in middle school and beyond. And so we're appreciative to him, but he actually was able to do it was like a short brief with the public broadcasting system. So I want to make sure that I close us out today with that. And I appreciate John, because John is really, when you hear him, he's come and spoke before the board. He is really about making sure that our kids receive what they need in order to be successful. So we're excited about that. Thank you, Maureen. Maureen actually already put the information in there, Ray. She's Maureen, you know what? She's one of our right hands. She's the STEM lady for our area. And so thank you, Maureen, for putting that in there. I appreciate that. All right, let me go ahead and get to John. And let's see. And we're going to close the drop the mic out with this. All right, thank you. Thank you. There we go.
I'm a school counselor at a middle school. I have a ton of students who enter into the school system behind, from slavery onto Jim Crow onto redlining and the GI Bill only being given to certain groups and not others. And then if you fast forward to now, we have mass incarceration, we have the war on drugs that's, disproportionately impact other communities. And instead of kind of looking at that storyline leading up to now, we kind of just say sometimes that they just don't have it, or those kids can't behave, or those kids don't have people who care about them. And I think it's so much deeper and more complex than that. You can't just talk about school in school, because people show up, sometimes they didn't eat, or sometimes they got into an argument with their parents before they get to school, and that's impacting how they perform in the classroom. So we're trying to have a conversation about grades, but now this person is talking about, oh, I don't get along with my brother or sister, or I had an issue with my friend. If you look at the data, you see situations where some groups end up doing better than others. And it's a lot of times, at least in part, because people of color or people from other marginalized groups have to go through some of the same issues of proving that they belong in the space. There are teachers who identify things in Black children that they don't in white children who are exhibiting the same behaviors. These are the same teachers who are writing referrals that lead to some students getting in trouble for things that others do not. I've had challenging conversations with the principal in the building. But then I've also worked to be in a position where I can come up with suggestions, or bring people in who can come up with suggestions that can create that change. And I try to sit on committees and work in groups where policy is created. What I found is that when we talk about implicit bias, we compare that to things that we intentionally do versus things that we've been automatically conditioned to do. And we can create some dissonance to where people can really begin to question whether or not the things that they say they want to do are in line with the things they're actually doing. And then after we kind of dig into implicit bias, I bring up the explicit stuff, because the part that is often left out is the critical race theory part. The part about the fact that our country was built on racism, and the fact that that stuff still exists today and is perpetuated in really interesting ways. It's like a social faux pas to bring this stuff up. People look uncomfortable. People start fidgeting a little bit when you bring this stuff up. The biggest thing is acknowledging there's a problem. And especially if you're a white person, it's okay to be uncomfortable. We're all consuming these stereotypes and attitudes about race, and you're not a terrible person for having experienced that. My name is John Okechukwu Wonsu Jr., and this is my brief but spectacular take on advocating for equity in the school system.
All right. Thank you, John. We appreciate that. That is our drop the mic for today. We're getting ready to close out in just a second. And here it is. Yes, John, he is an amazing school counselor. We're fortunate to have him in our community. He's awesome. And I am always glad to support whatever he has going over there at Garrett Middle School. So let's see what we have, because we're about to close this thing out. All right. We've had this before. My newsletter. If you are interested in the newsletter, please make sure that you email me at trey@cobbschools.com so I can put you on the list and it can be sent out. We also are finalizing our parent advisory councils for Pebblebrook cluster, the South Cobb High School cluster, and also Powder Springs cluster. So that information is also available. And if you wish to be on there, you can also email me, and I can make sure that I get you plugged into that particular information as well. So let's see what else we have. I see a couple questions. I'm going to get to those in just a second as well. Again, this is for the Pebblebrook alumni. If you graduated from Pebblebrook and you rap, sing, you write music, or you produce music, also email me. We are looking to hear from you. I believe there is a group of alumnus that we are getting together to create a mixtape for Pebblebrook High School, because we have a story to tell. And who better can tell it than those of us that went to Pebblebrook? So please come out and do that and support us in that effort. Whatever it is you do, bring it to the table. We are ready to put something down. Let's see. All right, there we go. So Rebecca, thank you. Why is Cobb County School District dropping the law firm? So I will say this. It is the board has made a decision that we will be moving in a different direction. As a district this size, and this is just Trey talking at this point, the district the size of Cobb County School District, we're the second largest in the state. We are 23rd largest in the nation. Just following some best practice of other large school districts around, just around the nation, we're looking to kind of align what we do in Cobb County around some of those best practices. And so this is one of the ways that we're going to move forward. So you asked about what the special meeting would be about. It will be streamed. It will be Saturday, this coming Saturday at 10 a.m. And it will be streamed from our district website as well. We will be zooming into that particular meeting. So just look for that. And we will be discussing next steps in regards to legal representation for the Cobb County School District. But again, because we are a very large school district and having, and we're very consolidated. These are just my thoughts and what I'm sharing, what I've shared with my colleagues in regards to moving forward, that we should diversify how we, who we bring to the table to support us in regards to some of the different services that we will need legal representation from. Even the board, we need to decide how that needs to look for us and for our school district moving forward. And so this is where we are. Unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, this is where we are. So Miss Erica, who's your representative at Varner? We're not in the Powder Springs cluster, I believe. Varner is Brad Wheeler. He is your board member, but you're also part of the South Cobb Council PTA. So you have representation from South Cobb, but you also have representation from Brad Wheeler. So he will be your board member. Why would the board vote different and not be in agreement on changing the legal representation if for the reasons mentioned? So with anything, our board has to come to a majority, has to come to a consensus. And so for anything to pass, it would have to have majority vote. The majority decided to move forward in regards to that. Myself, Jahan, Sharice, we were not in that majority decision-making for this particular initiative, unfortunately. But this is where we are as a board, and our board decision, and as we move forward as a board, will be to find more or different legal representation moving forward. And so I will be advocating to ensure that we do it in a way that mirrors other large school districts so that we can make sure that our students and our teachers and our staff and our team is receiving what they need in regards moving forward for the long haul and the long-term vision of every child succeeding here in Cobb County School Districts. I hope that helps as much as I can help the conversation in regards to that. All right, we are just about done. Our time is just about up. As I have about 2 more minutes, if there's any other pressing questions, I can answer them quickly before we move on, because I have to get ready for my 10 o'clock. And I thank you guys again for joining me earlier than usual in regards to, speaking with us and getting an update and a debrief in regards to what's happening here within the Cobb County School District and coffee. And I hope what I've said today has been helpful for each and every one of you. And so, again, thank you. And we look to see you soon. And again, if you have any questions or comments, you can always email me, Trey for Cobb Schools at gmail.com for some of those community event type things. But if you also need to reach me, you can reach me if you go to the Cobb County School District and look at the board tab. You find Leroy Trey Hutchins. You'll see my school board phone number. You'll see my school board email address, and you can also reach out to me that way as well. Remember, we have principal advisory councils at every school. If you desire to be informed and help assist and advise our principals, reach out to your principals, find out how you can be involved. These are our action items. Find out how you can get involved. Principal advisory councils. We also have the parent advisory councils that I have created for the Pebblebrook or for the Mableton, the Austell, and the Powder Spring community. So that's an also additional layer of how you can come and be involved and be engaged. Mableton Improvement Coalition has an education committee headed by Nate Smith. If you want to get involved, mableton.org, find the education committee, reach out to Nate Smith. He can help you. I am the education community for the Austell Community Task Force, tradeforcobbschools.com. Reach out. I'm going to plug you in. The Powder Springs Task Force, they're working on their education committee. And if you desire to be a part of that and help get that going, reach out to me, tradeforcobbschools@gmail.com. I'm going to plug you in with Elliot Hennington over in the Powder Springs area so that we can get that education committee up and going. And we're moving forward to really make sure that we have long-term planning and goals for the area. So again, thank you. I thank you guys. I appreciate you.